while we go live.
Okay.
And we're live with another episode of BS Busters, and we were in a really good discussion, so we actually have to talk about it. So, it's like there needs to be, um, there needs to be something that essentially, there needs to be a cloud-based platform for people who don't want to spend $300, $400, $500 on a game console or a decent or a moderately powerful gaming PC.
Yeah.
There needs to be that option for people who don't want to who don't want to spend that type of money. But on the other end of the spectrum, the technology isn't quite there yet to where it's like only in really limited, like the reason Nvidia's cloud-based gaming platform works is because basically, they aren't trying to be best of the best. It's like, look, 1080p, 60 frames per second, if you have a good connection. And that's all you can really ask. That's basic, you know, basic as fuck, you know. Um, and the sad thing is that most of America doesn't have that type of internet speeds. To have that, I would say only about, and I'm being very liberal with this estimation, only about 15-20% of Americans have access to that type of internet. And of that, 15-20%, if you were to blow that up to 100%, only about, I'd say 50% have the best of the best internet connection.
Yeah.
The other half have a downgrade of that. They're getting something that's lower than that. It's still pretty good, but it's lower than that. And that's only if you live in a suburban area or a city. If you live in the boonies, man, you're fucked. So, I don't know. So, what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that,
I just thought it was because I read an article and they were talking about how essentially they were talking about how a lot of these publishers were, were taking their games off because they didn't want to
be on such a platform.
No, they want to get paid for it.
They wanted to get paid for their, and I was kind of confused because it was like, well, they already paid for your game on Steam or whatever these platforms, so why are you guys so upset about them getting paid? So.
That's the weird thing to me, because if you already have them paying for your service, why are you trying to get them again, like Stadia?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Stadia is a different beast entirely. What we're talking about is Nvidia's streaming service. The reason games are getting pulled off of Nvidia's streaming service, like I said, is because Nvidia has a paid tier for their service. And because they have a paid tier for their service, basically what they were doing, they were essentially providing games that people hadn't paid for the pro version of their service. And so the publishers who put games on that service were like, wait a second, people are getting to play our game, but they're giving you money for it, and we're not getting a dime. And they weren't cool with that. So, I mean, from a business standpoint, I can understand why they were like, well, fine, then we'll take these games off. Now, from what I understand, if you bought those games and you uploaded them to the, not uploaded them, but you made them part of the NVIDIA cloud-based service, you can still play those games through their service, but you have to have bought them before you put them on there. Like the games that were part of the pro thing that were like, oh, you can play these games for this amount of time for free. No, that's what they were kind of pissed off about. But still, if you look at the amount of games that are on NVIDIA's cloud-based service, it's still a bigger and better
System.
It's still, I mean, it's more viable than what,
Stadia has been showing.
yeah, Stadia is just like, oh, this is some bullshit right here. Yeah, of course it's bullshit. This is Google Stadia, son.
Just the name alone. Just the name alone makes me chuckle hearing how Stadia fails.
You know.
Though, on a serious note, I'm gonna say that the cloud service as a whole has shown me that it's not ready for anything big like try to be its own console in a sense. I mean,
Well,
look how many fails have shown up from it.
I mean, I hate to say this, but here's the thing: there needs to be a cloud-based there needs to be a cloud-based platform for people who don't want to spend.
That's the thing. I know that you're saying that the future is having a service that is not connected to having a pricey console or high price PC.
Yeah.
I'm saying that in a sense that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, I mean, I think you'll see a cloud-based service within the next 4 or 5 years that'll nail it. But we're not there now. I think it'll take, like I said, about 5 years for you'll get something that really works. So probably like the next console gen, the next.
If you ask me, that's probably going to happen at the next census, which is 2030.
So you think it'll be a decade? I don't.
At the rate that some of these companies are going, that's how I'm feeling.
No, I think you could legitimately, because like I said, if you look at Nvidia, Nvidia has has a very moderate. It's like, look, our specs are if you have a moderately good internet connection, not the greatest, but moderately good, you can get 1080p,
Okay.
60 frames per second streaming. That's, I mean, that's stand. I mean, at this point, 1080p is basically a step above standard HD. Like basic HD 720. Okay? That's basic
I get you, but I'm saying that
HD.
with the cloud service specifically, I'm saying that it's going to take at least it's at least going to be more viable at around 2030 than right this year.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think I split the difference. I think it'll be 4 to 5 years. So 2025, 2024, 2025. But I mean, that's just the way it's going. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
but I'm saying I'm
us,
taking into account that some of these guys are going to be doing plenty stupid and goofing things up hard.
us dinosaurs sitting here saying, it's like this, okay? I liked the flip phone. I liked rotary phones. I liked that tactile feel. I like records. I like vinyl. But I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm like fuck.
If anything,
CDs and
the thing is for me,
FLAC.
if you screw up the technology, I'm gonna wait 10 more years for it to evolve. And so far they screwed up cloud services plenty already.
Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. I mean, there are people who use the cloud-based Windows Office platform, and
I mean,
that
cloud
works.
for gaming.
Cloud
I
for
say
gaming?
that. Yeah.
I mean, have you used Steam's cloud-based services? Because they work.
I'm not a Steam user.
Yeah. Steam's cloud-based services do work. I mean, they aren't like you have to have a decent internet connection, but it works. So
yeah, like their in-home cloud stuff or their in-home streaming stuff's pretty decent.
yeah. So I mean,
I was gonna say that remember the advertisements that cloud gaming is gonna have every detail of real time battles be ever evolving,
I mean,
And
look, listen. Look. Every product that comes out, they're always full of shit about and over promising shit. Because I mean, and that's every product. Remember Dark Cloud when all those magazines came out? It's the Legend of Zelda killer. It's like, no, no.
yeah,
Or the
if anything,
PS Move. This is the Wiimote killer. Yeah, whatever.
I was about to say that if anything, they stepped on their own toes, and I'm at least letting them go back to start and try again. Yeah.
So, look, listen, okay. Technology, much like anything else, is iterative. So
It,
basically, shit has to fail, and then you look at what failed and you move it forward. You
yeah,
take what failed, and so look, it's
but
a
as
good
I
thing
said,
that these things failed. That Google Stadia is failing. That other cloud-based services that tried and didn't get the shit right failed because now they can do better next time. Knock on wood.
yeah, that's the reason why I said if they fail this badly, then they have to go back to start. Take 10 years take 10 years to do it and try again.
Yeah. So, but I mean, enough about that. Let's talk about what the general overall topics for this podcast are going to be. And didn't get the shit right, failed because now, so people will know, So people will know. So without much ado, getting into it. So essentially, here are the
Topics.
Here are the topics. So we're going to be talking about the best open world games. I was going to say not that weren't GTA, but I mean, you can't talk about open world games these days without mentioning at least one Rockstar game. So I couldn't really do that. So so we'll be talking about what makes them good and how you could inject those qualities into other properties that are traditionally not open world. We will also cover guest submitted topics. So whatever you guys want to bring up. So let's get to the guest submitted topics and side stuff first, and we'll save the main topic for a little bit later.
Okay.
So I guess we can begin with what's in the chat section, which is here are Japan's all-time Final Fantasy games. These are the
Oh boy.
so
you and I are gonna rip these guys a new one, aren't we?
it was 1 through 30. I'm just gonna go over the top 10. Okay, so the number one favorite Final Fantasy game of this year, this thing in Japan.
Please be 6.
No, it's Final Fantasy X.
What?
Yeah, Final Fantasy X, which I'm not surprised because Final Fantasy X is Hironobu Sakaguchi's last Final Fantasy.
I'm mixed about that because it's a good game, but
let me put it this way: if the game didn't have Titus, it would be great. But Titus brings that game down for me.
As I said, it's a good game, but and you filled in the blank.
Yeah. Number 2 is Final Fantasy VII, obviously. Number 3 is Final Fantasy VI. Number 4 is Final Fantasy IX. Number 5 is Final Fantasy 14. Number 6 is Final Fantasy 5. Number 7 is Final Fantasy 8. Number 8 is Final Fantasy 4. And number 9 is Final Fantasy 11. And number 10 is Final Fantasy 15.
Can I be a little bit mixed on that result because I'm happy and sad at the same time?
I'm just glad Final Fantasy 7 wasn't number 1. That's all I got to say about that, because I hate that.
I was going to say that, if anything, Final Fantasy 13 and 15 were not the top upper half.
Well, Final Fantasy 15 was in the top 10, and Final Fantasy 13 is number 14. So.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's a lot of Final Fantasy games. Like if they just did the top 10, it would have only like Final Fantasy 13 wouldn't even been on the list. So there you go. So here are the top 10 Final Fantasy characters. Number 1 is Cloud Strife. Number 2 is Yuna. Number 3 is Aerith. Number 4 is Vivi. Number 5 is Zidane. Number 6 is Emmett Psyche from Final Fantasy 14. Number 7 is Tidus. Number 8 is Lightning. Number 9 is Tifa. Number 10 is Zack Fair.
Did I hear 13?
Yeah. Lightning's number 8, but number 1 is still still Cloud Strife.
Here's the thing. I don't mind Cloud being at the top of that list
Yeah.
But get 13 out of this house. Come on.
Yeah, I wish that was the case as well. But and the number one song, the top 10 songs of Final Fantasy, the number one is To Xanarkand from Final Fantasy X. Number two is Battle on the Big Bridge for Final Fantasy V. Number three is Eyes on Me, Final Fantasy VIII. Number four is Search for Friends, Final Fantasy VI. Number five is Blinded by Light, Final Fantasy XIII. Number six is One Winged Angel, Final Fantasy VII.
7.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII. Number seven is Aerith's theme for Final Fantasy VII. Number eight
7.
is Melodies of Life, Final Fantasy IX. Number 9 is the main theme for Final Fantasy. And number 10 is Still More Fighting, Final Fantasy VII. God, these people have a hard on for that fucking piece of shit. But anyway, there you go, folks.
Hey.
Those are the things.
Top 10s.
Those are the top 10s. There's
If anything,
there's
some of
30
those
for there's 30 for the first category, which is the best games, and there's 40 for the characters, but I wasn't going through 40 and 30 characters, so I just did the top 10s.
if anything, the only list I have a bit of a problem of with the top 10 is a bit of the music. I mean, come on. Some of those choices are a little iffy to me. But then again, this is the same group that probably picked Lightning to be one of the top 10.
I think she was number 8 in top characters. The favorite bosses and summons were also included. So Knights of the Round is the number 1 summon from Final Fantasy VII, and Kefka is the number 1 boss from Final Fantasy VI for number 2. So there you go, folks. Kefka's still a bad motherfucker. He's a more popular villain than that faggot. What's his name? The gay boy.
Sephiroth.
Yeah. One Winged Angel. The man who has a hard-on for sticking his sword in the Cloud Strife.
I was going to make the joke that an angel cannot be a jester.
I mean, I don't know. I think, like, for me, Final Fantasy VII was basically a shittier version of Final Fantasy VI. A lot of the same character tropes being done, just not as well. And the only thing it had going for it is that it had a lot more money put into its marketing budget, and that's about it.
Yeah, as I said, an angel can't beat a clown.
But, whatever. Well, that being said,
at least.
That being said,
we can keep,
what do you think about Kenoshi?
I don't know. Whose list was that?
It was from, let me check. It's from NHK, Japan's National Broadcasting Organization.
Well, at least we know their first game wasn't Final Fantasy VII, so.
Yeah, and they had the poll took a little under 500,000 people, so that's a pretty good sample size.
Yeah.
So
it's a taste.
No, I mean when you've got that many people, that's a huge sample size. That, like, the more samples you take within certain demographics, the more accurate your polling is. So that's actually.
I was going to say at least getting 1,000 is a good taste of a sample size, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean that's a legit number.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, most polls you see, like in other things like political polls, they don't typically do that many people. So for them to have that many people, that's a very good polling in terms of numbers. So with that being said, it's from a legit source. So that's Japan. They like Final.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the overall numbers, you can see that the most popular game is still Final Fantasy VII in terms of, like, the impact and characters and music. But Final Fantasy XIII isn't high on that list. And yet Square Enix just keeps on trying to shove that square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, and we know how that fares.
People love this game. Who? Um, Next, we have more details on the Samurai Jack game, Battle Through Time. It takes place shortly after the events of Samurai Jack defeating Aku, or you know, his girlfriend defeating Aku. Um, Apparently, it uses the voice actors from the TV show, returning characters like the Scotsman. It draws on the lore and stories of the series itself. It picks up at the series finale. Um, Ashi realizes she has Aku's power within her and opens a portal in time. She's traveling with Jack to destroy Aku, who knows his time is done. Basically, Aku throws Jack into a rift in time while he's in the time stream. So that's why you're jumping through different time periods. But apparently Jack doesn't know that he's in different time periods. So, like, that's it. This game looks like it's going to be a spiritual successor to Samurai Jack Shadow of Aku for the 6th gen. The one was on the GameCube, the Xbox, the PS2 back in the day.
That's a montage. That's a
game.
homage.
I mean, it was a good game for a cartoon-based video game. Because typically speaking, if you had a cartoon-based video game in the 6th gen, it was going to be shit.
I was going to say your miles may vary, because some of those games, they had a little bit of good.
Let me put it this way. Except for Tak and the Power of Juju, the rest of them were shit. Like, SpongeBob SquarePants was shit. The Cartoon Network games, by and large, except for maybe Samurai Jack, was shit.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those theme games back then were just trash. They're just fucking trash.
Yeah.
Because basically
said,
they were like,
your mileage may vary, and it's usually the low speeds.
Well, no, there was one cartoon-based game that was actually pretty good. Simpsons Hit and Run. The game that was basically like GTA, but The Simpsons.
I was gonna say, I thought it was Crazy Taxi.
No, that was Road Rage.
Okay.
Road Rage was like Crazy Taxi. Hit and Run was the one that was like GTA, but with The Simpsons. Like, you could go around as Homer and kick the shit out of Marge, which is terrible. But when Matt Groening actually was testing the game, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, like as Homer, he goes up and he kicks the shit out of Marge. I'm like, come on, man, don't do that.
Don't pull a Peter Griffin.
But he actually did that shit, so, yeah, you kick the shit out of Marge, you could beat the shit out of Bart, which, if it's Homer, he'd do that anyway. Why, you little... Like, I used to be like, oh, that's child abuse. But then I saw the episode where he shook that can of beer and blew up Homer. April Fools. And he's like in a coma. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Beat his ass.
You earned it.
Beat his ass, please. Just beat his ass.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Making a beer blow up that hard?
Yeah.
You earned yourself a red tanning.
Wasn't that THQ making a lot of those license games back in the day? Wasn't that like their...
It was either THQ, they did the Nickelodeon shit. EA did the Simpsons stuff, because that's who they had the license for that back in the day. So that's why we got Simpsons Hit and Run and other stuff like that. Activision did some games like that too, but like here's the thing. If you get people who are legitimately trying to make a fun game, you'll get something like Tak and the Power of Juju, and that's actually a pretty good game. Pretty good little, like, except the game came first and then they made the cartoon about the game.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Plus I just like the concept of like just the names. It's like Tak is a witch doctor's apprentice, and he's of the Pupu Nunu tribe, which is just hilarious. But I mean, it depended. Or Simpsons Hit and Run, which is legitimately a fun game. It's basically GTA, but it's The Simpsons. So like you can sneak up on Mr. Burns and kick the shit out of him. Which, if anyone deserved to have the shit kicked out of him, it's Mr. Burns.
Especially when trying to take candy from a baby.
Oh,
Then again,
worse than that. Mr. Burns is just a real piece of shit. Like I remember the one where he got high on ether, and he assaulted that old man. They call him Mole Man. He's the old man with thick glasses. Sounds like this. Oh, my brains. It's like
that is total wrongness.
yeah, he took a drill and he drilled into the guy's head. Like Mr. Burns is a terrible human being and he needs to die. But that being said, Montgomery Burns. I guess we can move on to Joel's topic, which is the $2,000 of downloadable content for Dead or Alive 6.
I just had to say, what in the holy beep did I just find?
Yeah.
Because when I look into, because I at times do look into the Steam shop to see what the heck are they doing, and when I found that, well, my job basically nearly cracked my own foundation.
Well, those prices are on all versions of that game, not just the Steam version.
I know, but that's what got me. Seeing the price, seeing that total price of it on Steam alone, that made me wonder, what in hex? Somebody would actually do this?
Yeah, it's some bullshit, all right, man.
And you know what? No, it's worse.
What?
You have to pay $1 each time you want to change your hair for each beeping character, and you have to, and if you want to change it back, that's another $1.
Well, it's a Koei Tecmo property, so what are you gonna do?
And considering each character has about 13 different hair colors, that's kind of a WTF.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really buy Dead or Alive. I remember playing Dead or Alive on the Xbox, the original Xbox back in the day, and I was like, oh, this is a nice game. But I've never really been like, oh my god, this is the best game ever. I was like, it's okay.
I know. It's just that if anything, I'm looking at it and like, what the heck has DOA evolved into?
Man, they want that money.
I know, but this is, if people are saying that Ultimate's prices are bad, they should take a look at this.
I mean, I think this is egregious. This is beyond the pale. But Ultimate's pricing is just as shitty with all those Mii costume prices and like $1.24, $1.63, $1.94, $3.59. It's like, why don't you just charge people $5? Why is it so specific how much? That's weird to me. Like, I'd rather you just round that shit up. $1.94, just charge somebody $2 shit.
I was about to say, at least you kind of get the prices for the characters right, but not the Mii's. And I'm not letting you get off this one.
I would rather there just be like, I would rather pay $40 or $50 extra and just have access to everything, rather than get nickeled and dimed. Because if you add up how much you pay for all the Mii costumes and shit like that, you're gonna be spending more than $50. So I'm saying for the characters alone, even the characters, that's too much.
Oh no, the characters are better priced than the Mii costumes, buddy.
Really, it should just be like, I'm telling you, it should just be $50. None of the season pass shit. $50, and every character that comes out after that, you get $50, and the Mii costumes. Because here's the thing, or even $60. Yeah, I would pay another $60 to have access to all that shit without having to get nickel and dimed with all that shit. I don't like getting nickel and dime. That's the thing. I don't like that.
Personally, I would actually want. I get the season pass thing as one thing, but if anything, I just want one single price for all the Mii costumes. Just get that over with. That's at least a hope that I would want.
I mean, whatever makes you happy, but I'm not cool with it. Kenosha, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I wish they would have had like a package of all the Mii Fighter gear for like $20 or something like that.
Oh
So you
no,
wouldn't
no,
have
they got a nickel and dime you. No, not 20.
Yeah,
It's got to be like 30 or 40.
Yeah, $30 or $40, whatever. Just the whole pack of all the Mii costumes for just a decent amount. I don't know. I just don't like a lot of
Yeah.
the trends that
I added
these
up.
gaming.
I added up all the prices of the individual characters for Smash Brothers 4 for Wii U. All the prices of the individual characters and then the Mii costumes and the little DLC stuff. You would have spent $164.93 for all that content if you got all of it.
Yeah,
That's some bullshit.
yeah.
And now they're doing the same shit with the new stuff on Ultimate, except with the main characters you can season pass that, but they're like season pass 1, season pass 2. What the fuck? Remember when you just bought the season pass and that was everything? Now they're like, no, we got to break it up. Man, fuck you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I heard that what's his name, Sakurai, passed out. Man, he must have been working hard making those new characters so Namco and Nintendo can charge an arm and a leg for the shit.
Well, the thing is, a lot of these developers really don't have. I don't think they actually have that much power over the pricing. Like, they're just told that they have to make something, and then
normally I would agree with you, but considering that this is a first party property. Like, if it was third party, I'd say, well, look, the studio has to make whatever the fuck they make, and the publisher is holding it. But this game's published by Nintendo.
This is what I'm saying, that you're getting a little too rough, because if anything, the characters I say are fair priced. The Mii costumes are not.
Yeah, here's the thing. I can't give them a break on the characters and then let them slide with that, because this shit started.
Oh, no.
This shit started because we started giving them breaks on shit. Well, the Wii
Oh,
no.
If anything,
we'll give them a break on this.
I'm trying to tell you that you're getting rude on me here with the idea that I'm saying that the Mii characters are overpriced in a sense, and the characters themselves are more price corrected.
We keep on taking steps back, and they keep on going further in how much they try to fuck our wallets. And I get tired of getting my wallet. Like,
I work you're not gonna win with me here, Red. Seriously, you.
Well,
you keep on making this.
I mean, it's
so blonde.
It's a moot point for me because I gave my copy to my cousin, so it doesn't matter to me. He can buy that shit.
Because if anything, you gave up on it already.
Yeah,
I'm still enjoying it.
My wallet's asshole was bleeding from getting fucked. I couldn't. Look, listen, someone fucks you over once, you don't do it again.
Oh, you cheap rear end. I'm saying that I see more value in the characters than the Mii costumes, and if anything, I keep away.
Listen.
Back in the old days, we just unlocked new characters.
Yeah, this is like having a relationship, okay? Like it's. I mean, actually, it is a relationship because it's.
This argument's a relationship, buddy.
You're in a relationship with, except in this case, it's a company, right? And you basically saw how they used to treat you well, and now they're starting to do shit where they're getting away with, some shady shit. And
if anything,
I can't take it anymore. I'm like, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
If anything, I'm supporting the part I like and not supporting the part I don't like, and I'm making my voice heard that I don't like it. Sheesh.
All right. Okay, so our next
You're
thing
correct.
is Microsoft was dishonest about Xbox Series X. Look, listen. I don't want to get fucked up. I don't want my wallet. I don't want my money get. I don't want to. I don't
Wait.
want to throw
How are
money
they?
after that shit.
How are they dishonest about it?
Well, basically, this guy in King Thrash Gaming, he made some salient points. I wished he wouldn't drop the N bomb so much, but fuck it. Um, but basically, the overall gist of his argument is that Microsoft is essentially selling they're essentially selling a PC that is not going to have any first party games for the first 2 years of its life, and like he's like, like basically they're selling a watered down, moderately more powerful than the original Xbox. Because I think no, the Xbox uh, the Xbox One X, because the Xbox One
Well,
X.
it's essentially Microsoft's Corsair One. Because if you know what the Corsair One looks like, that's kind of pretty much what it is. So.
Yeah, it's basically it's a mini gaming PC. That's all it is. It's and I mean, if I mean, look, I already have a gaming PC, so and I have an Xbox One controller, so I mean, I guess technically I already have an Xbox One. I don't really need to buy another one. So I don't know. Like Microsoft right now is aiming for Amazon and Google. They aren't really aiming for Sony. Although, like I said, it would be hilarious if they priced this thing at $399 just to kick Sony in the nuts. After Sony threw them down a flight of steps during the announcement of the original Xbox One. Like, I would just love to see that, just for catharsis. Like, I don't know. Like, here's the thing: for you Xbox fanboys who are angry about this, or who aren't angry about this, like, I mean, I just want to know: are you guys dumb enough to fall for this trick? Because that's what this is. This is Microsoft giving you a trick. They're pulling off a hat trick. The old cups, 3-card Monty. Where's the queen? Where's the queen?
Yeah.
Or should I say the old bait and switch? And do you think it'll work? Do you think it will work?
get get the get the helmets ready. This is gonna be a crash.
I mean, here's the thing. If they're not aiming for, how can I put this? If they're not aiming, like, here's the thing. If they are legitimately aiming for Google and, if they're aiming for Google and and Amazon, if the basis of this service of their service is like getting people to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass and XCloud and all that shit, and it's not based off of their console, or should I say their gaming PC that's masquerading as a console, then it doesn't need to sell well. All they need is people subscribing to the service. That's it. That's all they need. So, they aren't because Microsoft has probably figured out that they can't survive in the console business. Because every console gen they fucked up.
They got no black ink, as far as I heard.
The first console gen they fucked up. The second console gen they were doing well until they rushed out
the Red Ring.
Well, they rushed out the Xbox 360 in order to get it to market, and it was fun. It had a fundamental design flaw.
I was about to say that it went well, but the Red Ring reared its head.
a fundamental design flaw that had they waited 6 months to fix while they were to take it to market, it would have been fine. But no, they had to get it out before the PS3. So basically, the Xbox 360 had a fundamental design flaw that once Microsoft got caught with that shit, they were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And they lost money on that. And then the Xbox One, well, we already know the debacle that happened there. So basically, there's been 3 console gens. Microsoft has taken that L every single gen. Okay? And I know what some people are going to say. You're a Nintendo fan. You've owned multiple Nintendo consoles, even when they lost. Yeah, but I never had a functionally broken console. There were still good games on my console. Matter of fact, the only time I've had a Nintendo console where there were first-party games that weren't running well on the console is the Switch.
Yeah.
Which is a weird event.
Every other Nintendo console I've ever had, even first-party games were dynamite. The second-party games were dynamite. The third-party games that did come that were made specifically for that system were dynamite. Even the consoles where Nintendo's console was not number 1 in sales. Like, for the first 2-3 years of the SNES's life, it wasn't number 1. It was only in the later years of its life cycle that it overtook the Sega Genesis. The N64 was never number 1, but there's some damn good games on the N64. The GameCube was never number 1, but there's some damn good games on the GameCube. The Wii, well, the Wii was number 1, and there's some damn good games on the Wii. The Wii U was never number 1, but there's some damn good games on the Wii U. Think about that. I knew Microsoft didn't give a fuck about the Xbox brand remember when the Halo Master Chief Collection was released on the Xbox One and the multiplayer was broken? Remember that shit? Like, the one thing that Halo is known for, they couldn't get right on the system that's known for their online. They couldn't get the one thing. They had one job. One job. One job,
and they
CJ.
blew it.
You had one job, CJ, and that was to catch the damn train. One job. So, look, Microsoft is, like, for you, look, listen, I understand what it feels like to be a fan to the point where you're blind to the faults of the company that you're a fan of. I understand that. I've been there. But take a step back and look at things from a different point of view. Like, not just as a fan, but as someone who, like, even if you're not a fan, look at it from the point of view of someone who, if you take the outsider test. If any other product did these types of things, would this be acceptable? Like, if someone sold you a refrigerator where basic shit that should have been in the refrigerator, like shelves, ice maker, the light that turns on when you open the door. They're like, oh no, that's an extra $35 to put that in there. Oh, that shelf, that's $10. You would say that's some bullshit. And yet we accept this in the video game industry. This is not okay.
The reason why I take this on a case by case, not overall.
Okay, keep it moving. At PAX East, there was some footage of 30XX gameplay. Now, for those of you who don't know what 30XX is, it's the sequel to 20XX, which was basically this...
The Mega Man Rogue?
Yeah, they just ripped off Mega Man, except it's a roguelike. So every time you start a new game, you're basically fighting against... Like, the levels are... You fight the same boss, but the levels are randomly generated. Yeah, they're randomly generated. And depending on which boss you face, they get harder as you go along. So the first time you fight a boss, they're easy, but once you get to like the third, fourth tier boss, they're much harder. And I like it. I like the first game. I thought the music in the first game was really good. The sequel, just from the demo, the music sounds great. And I'm looking forward to it. It looks a lot better. The first game looked like a SNES Mega Man game. The second one looks like a PS1 Mega Man game. You know, one of those, you know, almost too nice to be 2D.
That's kind of a proud thing to hear, because that means the game is likely going to run so smooth that you probably need to wear sunglasses for how it goes.
Could be. I mean, the first game ran pretty well, especially once once it was patched properly and it started to, you know, it was it was patched properly and ran properly. Uh, Next we have a 2D platformer thing called Gestalt of Steam and Cinder. It's a steampunk action platformer game, kind of like Hollow Knight, but it's steampunk and human beings. So I guess that's cool. And lastly, Streets of Rage 4 gameplay footage. Yeah, Streets of
You
Rage
beat 'em
4.
up fans are in for erection.
Yeah, I want this game to do well so that Capcom can stick their heads out of their ass and we can get Final Fight 4.
What game is this?
Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want it to do well so Capcom can get their head out of their ass and make Final Fight 4. Because I really want Final Fight 4. Because Final Fight Streetwise was shit.
Oh, that
It was shit. I had that game. It's shit.
I was about to say, if I remember right, wasn't that for the 64?
What, Final Fight Streetwise? No, Streetwise was for the PS2. And
Oof.
the Xbox. I want to say the original Xbox. Yeah, Streetwise was trash. The only good thing about Streetwise is that it included the original Final Fight in the game. Like, you could go and play the original Final Fight. But it wasn't a good port. Like, that game is... Like, you know a beat 'em up is bad when you don't even want to play it.
Ouch.
Like,
That's what I was afraid of.
yeah, it was not a good game. Not even remotely good. It was what I would call just shit. That's the word. It was shit. So, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I mean, if anything, that would be a pretty good thing to see. To see Final Fight come back in a glorious fashion after Streets of Rage. There will be Streets of Rage that will be the leader.
Streets of Rage.
So if anything, that's gonna bring up the classic argument, which is better, Final Fight or Streets of Rage series?
I mean, to be honest with you, I like here's the thing, okay?
I know where you're gonna be pointing your flag a little bit.
I like the first Final Fight because it's really gritty. And Streets of Rage is really polished, but I mean, so it's like okay, Streets of Rage is like going to a nice restaurant, is like going to a nice Japanese like a Benihana's. It's like going to a Benihana's. Streets of Rage is like going to a Benihana's. It's all stylish and flourish and all that nice shit. Final Fight is like going to a hole-in-the-wall bar that serves a really great burger and a beer. It's like the Benihana's is nicer and all polished, but sometimes you want that greasy-ass burger and those greasy-ass fries and that beer, you know? They're both equally good.
In short, you want... Both of them are indulgences.
Now, both of them are good. The food is good either way, but
I'm
sometimes you
saying
want
that
that
both of them are
greasy-ass
indulgences,
burger.
but one is a different indulgence from the other.
I mean,
right?
They're both good. They're both you're going out, but sometimes you want something dirty and grungy. That's all I'm saying. And the original Final Fight is very dirty and grungy, whereas Streets of Rage is really polished. And to be fair, like the reason Streets of Rage, like everyone's like, well, it's better than the original Final Fight. But if Streets of Rage didn't have the original Final Fight as a template, Streets of Rage wouldn't exist. So, like on a technical level, I have to say I like the first Final Fight better. I will say Streets of Rage 2 is so much better than Final Fight 2 that I give it to Final Fight 2. In terms of their third games, I prefer Final Fight 3. Just because Final Fight 3 really kind of went out of the park and did some really cool shit. Whereas, Streets of Rage 3 just feels like a slightly better, like it's in some ways a step backwards from Streets of Rage 2. In my own personal opinion, but I could be wrong. So apparently someone's making a Hyrule Conquest game. It looks a little Hyrule Warriors to me.
What game is this?
This is the thing you put in the Discord chat. Hyrule Conquest.
Oh yeah, it predates Hyrule Warriors. I talked to the guy who made it last night, and
oh really?
Yeah, he's been developing that game for like 12 years almost.
Damn.
Yeah, so he's been.
Is it just him making it?
It's him and a few other people that he used to actually be in the game industry, but he got so sick of it, he ended up working in a warehouse and doing gaming stuff as a side hobby.
Oh, that's tough, man. I'll tell you, they say the game industry really burns you out.
Yeah. Yeah, he was burnt out. Yeah.
That sucks. Next we have Irune by Arcada Studio, which is apparently it's a board game based off of Hero Quest, or it's inspired by Hero Quest. I would be really into this, except I am like, I mean, I hate to say this to you, Jewel, but when I play like tabletop games, like D&D style tabletop games, I don't like models and like board and shit and like terrain board. I hate that. Oh god.
I was about to say, terrain boards are not bad, but you need good quality terrain board.
No, it's not just that. It's just every time I've gone to someone's house and played a D&D game that was like that, I wound up facing like when I played D&D 4.0 that had that going on, people would inevitably spill shit on my terrain board and destroy it, or I would lose the figurines. So it just wasn't worth it. And it was too expensive to replace everything because it's like, man, I lost my dwarven paladin. Someone lost their dwarven paladin. So then I'd have to resort to stealing chess pieces from shitty chess sets to replace the characters. I just really don't like stuff like that. Like I would rather. No, were you gonna say, Kenoshi?
Yeah, when I see people with those real intricate game boards, I was just like, why can't this just be a video game?
I mean, like, okay, if you're going to an event where everything's really organized, or you're going to someone's house and they know where everything is and they have their shit together and there's specific rules, it's cool. But if you're just it's a little intimidating to get into that right off the bat. Which is why, when I do play D&D, I just do it the old-fashioned way, where, we have a round table or a square table. We have the game master has his board. The characters have their player sheets. I have a copy of their player sheets on the board if I'm running the game, and I know what's going on, and I roll the dice, and they can see me rolling the dice so everyone knows what's going on. And you have to use your imagination and adjectives and adverbs to describe shit. And not just, you into the house. I will tell you this much: if you're into creative writing and you want to get better at it, but you find just writing normal shit to be boring, write some D&D adventures, because you'll get used to using adjectives and adverbs, or your adventures will suck. Because you'll actually have to be descriptive, and use a thesaurus. And that's not a type of dinosaur for you plebeian people or people of lower intellects. Thesaurus is a book which gives you synonyms for words.
Yeah,
Expands your vocabulary.
don't overuse this thesaurus, because then
Yes.
people will just start to hate you because you're using words. You're using weird words for things that you don't need to use weird
Well,
words
aren't
for.
you ebullient this morning? Hey, I don't even know what that means because you're intellectually challenged, good sir.
No, you just don't know how to communicate.
Your linguistic endeavors are doomed to failure. Anyway, and lastly but not leastly, before we move on to the main topic, Jewel, wake up, Jewel. The Batman
still here.
director reveals the new Batmobile, which is just a Mustang Mustang 5.0. It looks pretty cool though. It does look pretty badass.
I saw the teaser trailer for. I guess there's a new Batman movie coming out this year or next year, and it kind of
It's
looks like
epic.
an introduction to Daredevil.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in 2021. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't think Robert Pattinson could pull it off, but then I saw him in Good Time, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, he could totally play a psychologically disturbed asshole, because that's what Batman is. He's a psychologically disturbed asshole.
No
And
contest there.
you know, yeah, and this is actually a film where we actually get to see Batman doing detective type shit, which is amazing.
Which is kind of rare.
Well, the only film that we saw him actually doing detective type shit in was the original Tim Burton's The Batman, and Batman Returns. But that was when they had the crime computer in his crime lab. Like, it wasn't him actually doing things; it was his computer doing shit. Like, we didn't see him doing detective stuff in the Schumacher films. We didn't see him do detective shit in the Nolan films. As a matter of fact, the only time the best interpretation of Batman we've had, you know, on television was the animated series Batman. You know, the Batman that brought Batman back. The Kevin Conroy. You know, I'm Batman.
I just want to see a. I just want to see a Batman Beyond movie.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Speaking
Not gonna likely happen, but hopefully.
of Batman Beyond, if you couldn't see a Batman Beyond movie, would you be okay if they took the formula from Arkham Knight and made a Batman Beyond open world sandbox style video game?
Oh man, that'd be so. You'd actually be able to like fly around and stuff.
Yeah, where you could be
Cool
Terry
gadgets.
McGinnis.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Terry McGinnis. You could you could
That'd be
have
interesting.
future Gotham City. You could have future Gotham City. You could have Batman going around beating the. You could have Terry McGinnis doing all types of cool shit. You could have awesome. And this is a game I wouldn't mind having expansions for. Like you could have an expansion where you get to go where you get to go to like future Metropolis and meet future Superman, and you can see Terry McGinnis fan out by meeting future Superman, like he does in the animated show. It's like, man, it's Superman. Yeah, I know, but it's Superman.
Hey, let the kid have his freak out.
Come on, we all know that if Superman was real, we'd all freak out if we met him.
Yeah,
Not Batman,
let him
'cause-
freak out.
You'd always be afraid that Superman was gonna beat your ass. But Batman was always gonna beat your ass. But Superman's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you see Batman behind you, you might want to prepare your buttocks for what's coming to you.
I mean, classic Superman, not Snyder Superman. Snyder Superman would scare the shit out of me. Like, I literally would shit myself probably. Like, oh god, oh.
I was about to say,
Shit. Well, I mean, considering he destroyed the city and then made out with his girlfriend on the rubble, you know.
I was about to say, we do not mention that. Like, we do not mention certain video games.
or like we don't mention what was the name of that movie? We don't mention Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
That movie does not exist. There's only the Indiana Jones trilogy. There is no third movie.
I thought it was fourth, but okay.
Sorry, there is no fourth movie. It doesn't exist. There is no Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's only Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade. There is no Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Red Fox, you might want to brace yourself because I heard that they're trying to make a fourth movie
they're gonna
round
make a
two.
fifth movie. They're gonna make a fifth movie. The only way that I would be okay with them making a fifth Indiana Jones movie if it ends with Indiana Jones, like if it opens with Indiana Jones talking with some other professor, and he's like, you know, like, yeah, this is true, yeah, I did this, and then it ends with he's like, oh, my son's gonna pick me up, and he gets in the car, and who's driving the car? It's Older Short Round, and he's like, we got to go home. It's like, yeah, that's right. And they drive off because really, legitimately, that's Indiana Jones's kid, in my opinion, because that's the only person that he had that type of relationship with. Aside from that, I don't want to see any bullshit from an Indiana Jones movie. That's it. No more. But anyway, yeah. Back to the original main topic. Yeah, I would love to see a Batman Beyond open world video game. I mean, could you imagine the cool shit you could do in a Batman Beyond? Because here's the thing. You don't have to have the Joker. You can have new villains. You're not tied to that, to the mythos. So you can have new villains. You can have, you could bring back old villains, but it would be like...
They're teaching the new villains a thing or two.
No, it would be like, okay, so, kind of like they did with the TV show. You could have, like, okay, some guy is going around this new drug called Venom R2 or some shit. Is basically, it's basically based off of Bane's Venom, right? But then you go and like, well, you know, Bruce Wayne's like, oh, you know, yeah, you know, there was Bane. He was a roided out freak, but it couldn't be Bane. And you go to a nursing home and you find out Bane, who's taken so many steroids that he's all fucked up. And he's just an old guy in a wheelchair and he's all catatonic. He can't do shit. It's like,
I was about to say,
obviously not this
all
guy.
the times that he's buff and he ends up in the hospital, and he ends up in a wheelchair.
Well,
way to go.
If you read if you watch Batman Beyond, that actually is directly from one of the episodes. Like there's this new drug going around it's basically Venom, but like a new version. Like it's not injected through into your spinal cord. It's like a patch that you pop on, and the more you pop on, the stronger you get. And so basically, like, it's actually a pretty cool thing. I mean, Batman Beyond, just like the Batman animated series, was well beyond its time. Like, a really good animated series. But yeah.
Makes me miss that series, really.
Yeah. But yeah, I can...
It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there.
I don't know. I pre-ordered mine. I got mine off of Amazon, the Blu-ray version. So I'm good. I'm good.
I was about to say
I can watch it anytime I want to.
It's there, but it's limited. But it's starting to run out of time. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Batman Beyond is one of my favorite animated series. I would tell anyone, you know. Like my favorite animated series, I will get the I have the DVD of Static Shock. They finally released TMNT, the original '80s TMNT, that one, on Blu-ray. I got it, the entire set, got all that
Cowabunga.
shit. Yeah. Even though the first 2 seasons are the best, it kind of goes downhill after the second season because it becomes this big toy commercial. I mean, it was already kind of a toy commercial, but it gets ridiculous after season 2. I have the Batman the animated series, all 4 seasons. I have Justice League and Justice League Infinite Blu-ray. I have Teen Titans, the original, not that shit that Cartoon Network remade.
Not Teen Titans, no.
Yeah. I have Ben 10, the original. I mean, if I like a cartoon or animated series, I'll get the series because I don't.
Oh yeah, Ben 10 the original was the best.
Yeah, even the sequel is pretty good, where
Yeah,
he's like
sequels,
grown up.
yeah.
The second thing where he's like older. That one was cool too.
Yeah, that was good.
Um,
I also liked. I think the last cartoon I really liked on Cartoon Network was Generator X.
yeah, that one was cool. That one was cool. It's a shame they just kind of canceled it after the second season. I think was it the second season?
Yeah,
Yeah, the second
that's
season.
that's a that was sad knowing that it got canned right when it was getting good.
Yeah, Cartoon Network's like that. Like they keep the stupid shit like Teen Titans Go, but you know, get rid of the shit that's like whatever.
Well, one of the stupid reasons they canceled Young Justice was because they weren't selling enough toys.
Well, I mean, to be fair, those series are about selling toys. I mean, that's what you know. Sadly, that's what they're about. You know, but it is what it is. So anyway, with that being said, do you guys have any ideas about some games that? So what are your favorite open world games? And it can be a GTA game. It can be something else that's an open world game.
That's a little tricky because open world is kind of a iffy topic to me, so I can't really say that because I haven't really felt any open world,
All
at
right.
least as far as I know.
Okay. Uh, Kenoshi.
Um, Open world games. Let's see. I don't really. I guess the only one I played or really got into was Breath of the Wild. I really like the idea of really getting into The Witcher 3, but I can't seem to get into. I can't seem to play that play that long enough to really get into it.
That game's hard to get into.
Yeah. You don't really start out with a lot. Leveling up is kind of difficult, and it's
Combat is not well defined.
yeah.
So, well, I mean, I guess I'll have to pick this up and carry it forward. I'm a huge fan of. Well, actually, I'm not gonna say a huge fan. I am one of the biggest fans of some open world games that aren't necessarily made by Rockstar. Like, um, I liked Gun. Um, Gun was basically Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption. Um, you basically played through New Mexico and parts of Utah and Colorado. Uh, you know, being a cowboy, going around shooting bandits and Apaches and Confederate soldiers. It was really good. Because any game that lets me shotgun a Confederate soldier in the face, I'm pretty cool with. And let's see what else. I also was kind of a fan of Lego City Undercover. I thought that was a good game. It was very much kind of like that open world sandbox thing going on. uh, and I'm a sucker for open world sandbox style games. Let's see what else. Kind of a fan. This is for people who kind of like D&D. Wouldn't it be cool to play a D&D game where, let's say, like, the D&D world is huge, but what if they, like, okay, this game is called the Sword Coast and it takes place just on the Sword Coast, and you get to be you create your character. You go to a tavern or someplace else, and you can recruit characters to join you. Up to 4 other characters, so you have a 5-character party, and you can go out doing adventures, that type of thing. I think that would be cool.
When you think about it, you're right. The only open world that I think of that I can feel fit in this category might be D&D itself, and that's the oldest of old school games.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that D&D would really work. What if you got CD Projekt Red to make a D&D game? Because we know they have the chops to make that type of game. Although I don't know how they would get multi. Because the thing about D&D is, if you're fighting, it's not smart to fight alone, especially with 0.5. I mean 5.0, because version 5, like basically, like the more enemies there are, like even if you have like goblins, I think goblins are a challenge rating 2 or 3, but if there's like 6 or 7 of them against one person, they'll fuck you up, son. You're in trouble, you know.
Yeah, most D&D challenges you have to be on your toes about, especially when you get into that kind of dragon-like phase, as in your entire party versus one dragon, and a team of 4 is gonna be in for a rough ride.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if you're facing a dragon that's relatively mature, like the thing that's gotten on my nerves about a lot of watching people run D&D games is that they'll throw a dragon in there,
Yeah.
and they'll make a dragon. It's like dragons are smart. They're apex predators. Why would they just get on the ground? They'll be smart. They'll strafe around you. They'll use environmental traps to kill off. They'll go after spellcasters first. They're smart.
I was about to say
smart.
I was about to say that if anything, a good DM would save those for last, or when the party's in a situation that they already are having a headache with.
Yeah, they're asshole party, and you want to wipe their asses out. Bring in a dragon. It's like, oh, so you're not gonna go on this handcrafted quest that I created that was gonna be awesome, and have you guys going on an awesome quest and uncovering some cool shit. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to pull out the black dragon Verathrax. You fucked up, son. Of course, you don't tell them that. But yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I've played a lot of open world sandbox games. I have to say my favorite open world sandbox game from back in the day was GTA San Andreas. I think that game was really ambitious for the time, and to be fair, I don't think that I don't think that I don't think Rockstar has made a GTA game that was as ambitious as that game since then. Which is a shame because, I mean, like I said, I think it's a really good game on a personal level.
I can understand that.
I think the closest you're going to get is maybe with maybe Vice City.
I thought you would go with the Ballard.
No, I was going to say Vice City. Vice City is about as close as you can get as being in terms of GTAs. Open world sandbox style GTAs. I would say Vice City is the closest you're going to get to San Andreas. Because both of them have really good music. Both of them have some interesting characters. Not just the main character, but the side characters. Like, people remember Big Smoke. People remember Ryder. People remember Sweet. People remember Officer Tenpenny, played by Samuel L. Jackson. People remember The Truth. All these characters are memorable. Zero, Woozy. I mean, I think I think GTA. I think GTA San Andreas though is still the most ambitious because GTA San Andreas had like 4 different areas in that game, 3 cities, and then the countryside. You know,
Yeah.
and then all the suburbs and the areas in between. You have not gotten a GTA game that was that big yet. Not even GTA Online has that level of space and places to go and shit to do. Um, and shit that they charge you for that was free in that game. Like you could go to casinos for free in GTA San Andreas.
You have to pay some of your coin to play those games, but it was free to enter.
You know, you buy the game, this shit's there. Now, if you want that, you got to get. Well, I think the GTA Online, the DLC's free, but I mean, it's resources that could have been put into the single player game are put into
The
online
casino.
bullshit. No, just online content. Content that should have been single player is put into the resources that could have been allocated to making single player content were allocated instead onto their online content. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I guess we can move on to the final topic. So, are there any properties that you could see an open world gameplay style working well for?
Hmm. I see a genre doing that kind of.
Go ahead.
Well, we do got Legend of Zelda already, but may, maybe one of the. I was thinking maybe one of those farm simulators of sorts that really like Harvest Moon.
An open world Harvest Moon game. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I thought. After all, if anything, I remember how much you enjoyed Harvest Moon, so I thought that might work with open world, especially since you'd be able to not have to worry about transition of fields, and basically you get to visit town whenever you like instead of certain hours.
That would be very interesting. That would be very, very interesting. Kenoshi, you have any ideas?
Ideas for what exactly?
An open world. What genre or game would benefit from having open world sandbox style gameplay elements put into it?
Uh, I don't know. I'd say it's sort of war-based open world, where you know, an open world game based off of famous wars like either like World War II or maybe even going back even further than that. How it would work on that, I'm not sure, but it'd be something a lot more different than the usual sci-fi or fantasy setting.
Um, okay, I'll give you one. Wouldn't it be cool if wouldn't it be cool if they made if they put um
The open world mechanics.
no if they added open world mechanics to a Metroid game?
I'm scared to think about that because I got lost on Metroid Prime. Imagine being lost in an open world Metroid.
Well, that's the point. Like a Metroid game is supposed to be this singular experience where you get lost in the world. Literally, you could get lost in a Metroid Prime game. Like you actually landed on a planet, and you had to make your way on this planet. You had to find your things. And what if you had an ecosystem that worked? Because like the thing that kind of makes a Metroid Prime game break, or any Metroid game break, is like there's supposedly these ultra dangerous creatures on the planet, but they only attack you. Like you don't see the pirates getting attacked except like by Metroids, but like the wildlife isn't attacking the pirates typically. Wouldn't it be cool if you played a Metroid game where you landed on a planet and the wildlife was actually doing the shit that wildlife does? So you could have an apex predator stalking its prey. You could have, this ecosystem going on by itself. You could fly to different parts of the planet or even other planets and see what was going on and get totally lost in it. Have that sense of immersion and loneliness and environmental storytelling and that type of thing. You could actually land on a space station that has people there and actually take on bounty hunting jobs so Samus can actually get paid to do shit. Because they say she's a bounty hunter. I've never actually seen her actually get paid to do anything.
Which is kind of odd when you think about it.
I'm a bounty hunter, but you don't actually do anything. So that's what would do it for me. So yeah, I think that would be cool. Just from a personal thing, I would say, well, The Legend of Zelda would be great as an open world game, but we already got that with Breath of the Wild, and I was less than impressed. So, I don't want to revisit that on a personal level. Not unless they could do something like, I don't know. The only way that I could get down with an open world Legend of Zelda game is if they had an open world Legend of Zelda game where your actions actually have consequences, and your actions actually change the world in meaningful ways. That would basically kind of be the thing where I'm like, okay, I can get down with this. If they can't do that, then I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I
was thinking about an open world Zelda game where you had choices like you did in Mass Effect or something like that, where you don't necessarily give Link a voice, but he does talk a little bit more.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or, okay, imagine, if you will, you played a Legend of Zelda game where there was this fortress that was overtaken by, gangs of monsters. You clear out that fortress. Then you can invite, soldiers from, a fortress, a castle, like a military town to take it over. Or you can basically make the place, you can invite some bandits to come and take over the place. And if you help out the bandits, monsters won't come back in there, but the bandits will open like a nighttime fencing market where shit that was stolen from you, or rare items that you normally can't buy at stores, you can find there. If you invite the soldiers there, the roads get safer at night, so you find less monsters on the roads and in certain areas. So the area gets safer, but you lose that option to buy shit that you normally wouldn't be able to buy. That's the type of thing where it's like, missed opportunity there. I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that one.
In my humble opinion. Let's see what else. I think it would be cool to have a. Let's see, what's another game that could benefit from an open world component? I think it would be cool to have a. I think you could do a open world game. I think you could do an open world Mega Man game. And before
an open world Contra game.
You could do that too. I mean, the only thing you'd have to do is change up basically like your level progression. Um,
Everything tried to kill you, that's for sure.
well, I
But
mean,
the Contra games.
I mean, like okay, just quick design. Okay, you land on an island that's basically been taken over by aliens, and like initially you had a team of people with you, but your ship got shot down. So like the game, like you have a safe zone that you carve out. Like let's say you take on your first boss there, you make that area safe. Maybe you rescue one person that was close to you. Then you go into these other areas that are like encounter zones where there's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of shit trying to kill you, and you can rescue people and your teammates that were on the ship with you. As you do this, you build up your central area and get access to better shit at your central area. So like you rescue your weapon, your weapon specialist, so like you can get better weapons, right? They can upgrade your weapons if you find shit in the field. I think that could work. I mean, would Konami do it? Probably not, because Konami likes to fuck up, but I'd be down with it. Konami. Konami, we fuck up all the time.
The Final Fantasy series, the TMT series.
Well, that was a licensed game that they made. They didn't actually hold that. That wasn't their game. It was a licensed game. It wasn't their IP. It was a licensed game they made. And actually, the ones made by Konami were all pretty good. Now, when Ubisoft bought the license and fucked it up with that remake of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, that's when it went to shit. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, then. So we've reached the end of the podcast. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
I do got a bit of a rant, but I probably will save it until Saturday.
All right.
Oh boy,
All right.
it's about 7R.
Okay.
SNK, why didn't you just put Samurai Showdown on Steam?
Probably because SNK got paid that money from Google. Like Google was like, "We'll give you money if you put it on our thing." And I don't know why, because that online for Stadia is so shitty that it wouldn't even work with that. But whatever.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this is Mr. Red Fox. To get in touch with the cast via Gmail, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91, or in the link under this video, you can click on our Discord server and get in touch with me there. Either way, remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. We have a podcast every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we try to have a regular schedule. I also do upload videos periodically, not as often as I used to, but I do try to upload videos. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace and good night.
Hype responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true.